Welcome to Mondays with Melissa. Today I want to talk a little bit about trusts, the different types of trusts that we prepare and what they are used for. So people will often come in and say that they want to set up a living trust. A living trust is just a trust that's set up during your lifetime, and a living trust can be revocable or irrevocable. So when you're doing a revocable trust, you're typically doing that for the purpose of avoiding probate. In New York, probate is not as scary as it may be in other states, but people will prepare a revocable trust and fund it with assets. And when they pass away, those assets will go to the beneficiaries of the trust without having to go through the probate process. Now, right now in New York, for Medicaid at home, there's still no look back, so you can move assets pretty quickly out of your name and qualify for Medicaid at home, community Medicaid, right away. But if there's a nursing home need, there's a 5-year look back for Medicaid, which means those assets would have had to have been put into the irrevocable trust at least 5 years prior to the need for nursing home care, which is why you want to kind of do this planning earlier rather than later. Did you know that in New York State, you can't disinherit your spouse? I'm sure you're probably wondering, well, why would I want to disinherit my spouse? But in many cases, when we're dealing with older individuals, this comes up with regard to Medicaid. So many times when there's a married couple and one person becomes sick and needs to go to a nursing home, we'll typically have them transfer all of their assets to the other spouse, the well spouse, and get the spouse in the nursing home on Medicaid right away. But what's very important to know is you can't completely disinherit your spouse in New York, but you still need to do planning around the possibility that the spouse who is well at the beginning of the scenario ends up passing away first. Today I want to talk about elder law and estate planning as a woman's issue. And why is it a woman's issue? Well, women typically take on the role as caregiver in their families. So while they might be caring for their children, they may also be caring for parents. They could potentially be caring for a spouse or a sibling who is aging or disabled. And we want to make sure that just like in every other aspect of their lives, women are taking care of themselves as well. We need to make sure that we have our planning in place. We have our power of attorney and our healthcare proxy and our trusts and wills in place so that should something happen to us, there's somebody to step in and help and assist take care of us in our situation. Make it as easy as possible. And now with people living so much longer and people having children so much later, sometimes we can be looking at 5 generations where the person in the middle could be caring for a parent and a grandparent as well as a child and a grandchild. Did you know that you could qualify for Medicaid in New York State with your home still in your name? As long as your home doesn't exceed $1,097,000 in equity. So as long as you don't have equity in your home that exceeds $1,097,000, you can actually qualify for Medicaid and keep your home in your name. The problem is that if you pass away with that house in your name, it now becomes part of your estate. And Medicaid can come back and make a claim against your estate against the value of the house. You keep the home in your name and still qualify for Medicaid benefits. It's not really the ideal thing to do. And I've been seeing a lot of this lately where Medicaid is coming back after someone passes away and sending out a questionnaire basically to find out what the person had in their name when they passed away to get the house moved out of the person's name or both spouses' names if it's a married couple, and get that 5 years out of the way. That way, the house is protected not only for the purposes of you can qualify for Medicaid, even though you can still qualify with the house in your name, you move it out, you can still qualify, but you don't have that issue when the person passes away because you don't have to probate the estate. They don't own the house in their name. It's in the trust. It has a beneficiary, and it passes that way without Medicaid being able to come back and collect from it. So just a little tidbit of information about real property and New York Medicaid. first, let me just say, in New York, probate isn't necessarily as scary as everybody makes it sound, although things can sit with the courts for quite some time, depending on which court you're in. But probate generally is not as scary as it may seem. So one of the ways to avoid probate is by putting your assets into a revocable trust. A revocable trust is not going to protect your assets for Medicaid or long-term care planning purposes. A revocable trust is going to be a vehicle where you can still utilize your assets however you want and whenever you want. You can add things, you can take things away, but your revocable trust is going to name beneficiaries. It's to make sure that all of your accounts are either owned jointly with somebody or they have a named beneficiary, whether that's a payable on death or a transfer on death or in trust for account. So upon your passing, just by virtue of the way the account is held, it will pass to either the joint account holder or it will pass to the beneficiaries without having to go through the court process or the probate process. So either using a revocable trust or setting up the accounts so that they pass directly without having to go through probate are two really pretty easy ways to make sure that the probate process is avoided. So there's a lot of thought that goes into it and a lot of planning that goes into it. So it's not recommended to make a rash decision to do this or that to set up your estate plan. Sit down, go over with us. Who are your family members? Who do you want to get what? How important is it to you to avoid probate? What does that look like after we explain the process and how it would work? So the conversation has to be more than just in a vacuum of, I don't want my kids to have to go through probate. So you can always reach out to us with questions if you have more specific circumstances you want to discuss or go over. You can reach out at konaelderlaw.com on our website. You can call us at 631-390-5000. Of course, you can always email me at mnegrin@konalaw.com. Like, share, and subscribe, and come back next week for more Mondays with Melissa, and we'll see you then.